Welcome to every video we make. We use one little thing and then we build the narrative out of it. Brie Larson says one fucking thing and we make a whole video out of it. That's what we do.
Words are flowing out like woke Mary Sue, objective truth. They don't mean much, but nothing ever does across the grift of
Alright, you assholes.
You can pick up the softback trade paper.
The what now?
How do you do, fellow kid?
The f***ing what?
surrounded by 20 Kermit the Frogs.
Do you believe you are Jordan Peterson?
What do you mean by believe?
I don't know if you're copying my voice or what.
That's the circular definition.
That's the circular definition.
You stake your life.
You stake your life on it.
And you die
and you die for it. I feel like I'm talking to myself here.
How much do you know about me?
Hypothetically, if you were born Jordan Peterson, but you talked like Kermit the Frog, that would just make you a human with a frog voice.
You're generating an impossible, restricted, hypothetical, with no precursors to back you into...
I can't tell them apart. You like eating red meat, right?
Sure.
And what do Jordan Petersons love eating more than anything else?
Why are you asking me?
Because you are Jordan Peterson.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Is this Jordan Peterson versus Kermit the Frogs?
Don't be a smartass.
Either you're Jordan Peterson or you're not. Which is it?
You're really quite something.
That's because you're Jordan Peterson, you're not a frog.
Yeah, I'm done with him.
I respect Dr. Peterson, but I think he's losing it.
Croak, croak, ribbit, ribbit.
You told me you got caught up in the tear gas as well. Describe what happened to you.
Tasted a little tear gas. Tasted like fascism.
Nazi. Wie bitte? Haben Sie mich gerade als Nazi beschimpft?
Na, Sie sind doch einer.
Das ist ja eine Unverschämtheit. Nur weil ich in der NSDAP und in der SS bin, bin ich noch lange kein Nazi. Wahrscheinlich bin ich auch noch rechtsextrem, oder was?
Ja, aber was sollen Sie denn sonst sein?
Ich bin vielleicht ein besorgter Bürger, der Angst vor Überfremdung hat. Aber ich bin nicht rechts. Und ich bin erst recht kein Nazi. Hey, Sie da? Sehe ich etwa wie ein Nazi aus?
Nö, würde ich jetzt nicht sagen.
Na, sehen Sie? Aber der ist wahrscheinlich für Sie auch ein Nazi, hm? Nazis, 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 lauter Nazis. Wenn einem die Argumente ausgehen, dann holt man schnell mal die gute alte Nazi-Keule raus.
Es hat doch nichts mit Nazi-Keule zu tun.
Sie machen sich das Leben sehr einfach. Nur weil jemand die Mainstream-Meinung nicht teilt, ist er gleich ein Nazi.
Aber Nazi sein ist doch längst Mainstream. Ihr Nationalsozialisten seid an der Macht.
Ach ja, ich vergaß. In Ihrer Welt sind ja alle Nazis. Der Führer ist wahrscheinlich für Sie auch ein Nazi, was?
Ja?
Jetzt reicht's aber. Führerbeleidigung. Mitkommen.
Das sind jetzt über...
Ja, ja, ich weiß. Nazi-Methoden.
Fellow senators, friends, colleagues, allies, adversaries. I stand before you this morning with a heavy heart. I believe we are in crisis.
Continued and inexplicable Gorman resistance to imperial norms.
The distance between what is said and what is known to be true
terror attack and robbery have taken place.
All the propaganda
has become an abyss.
Terrorism strikes again in Gorman.
They don't even bother to lie badly anymore. I suppose that's the final humiliation.
Of all the things at risk, the loss of an objective reality is perhaps the most dangerous.
With the right ideas, planted in the right markets, we can weaponize galactic opinion.
The death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil.
The only story that matters is Gorman aggression.
When truth leaves us, when we let it slip away, when it is ripped from our hands, we become vulnerable to the appetite of whatever monster screams the loudest. This chamber's hold on the truth was finally lost on the Gorman Plaza. What took place yesterday was unprovoked genocide. Help us! And that truth has been exiled from this chamber. Is there no one who can help us? And the monster screaming the loudest? The monster we've helped create. The monster.
It's Donald Trump, bitches. Let's go. That is what it's up. That is, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It kind of hit me. I titled it something else originally, and then it was just like randomly, it's like D-Rez. Holy shit, I'm missing something here. I missed the opportunity, but I took it. Anyways, welcome everybody. This is just so far for now. It's just me chilling. And I know we do that like every week, and then I'm like, I'm just kidding. I've got like 18 motherfuckers with me. No, it's just me. Summer plans and whatnot, kind of in case you haven't noticed, the last few weeks we've been inconsistent. It's not because we're fighting. We're not like fighting like the Beatles. We can't get in a room together. It's not like fucking what's his name, The Rock and Vin Diesel, where they couldn't film scenes together. They hated. It's not like that. It's not like that. Fuck you, Bob. You know which one I'm talking about too. Anyway, welcome. We gonna be chilling a little bit. I don't think I can be on too long because I have a kiddo who is matriculating to the next grade, to the next segment of school, of primary school today. So I'm going to see her do that. Well, as long as I get to be Vin Diesel, right? Wait, who? Can you imagine? Who the fuck would want to be out of those two guys, right? Like, well, I get to be Vin Diesel. You can be The Rock. Okay. Anyway. Fuck ass Bob. Yeah, man, Jared Leto, like, so if you watch my channel for a few years now, we did, it was before the Fapcast. It was like a proto-Fap, I guess. It was kind of similar to what the Fapcast has become. Kind of. But something was coming out, some movie, I don't know. And I was just like, man, we got to dig into some of this crazy shit about Jared Leto because he is nuts and he's got some yikesy stuff around him. And some of that was a couple of accusations. So some of this stuff has been around for a while. It just seems like this has been the media or whatever outlets going, all right, let's just go ahead and get all these instances, in a row and blast this shit out. And just go ahead and destroy the Tron franchise, apparently. Not like, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. I'm saying it's fucking unfortunate. But, it's unfortunate that motherfuckers like Jared Leto they exist. I don't know. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the yikesy kind of the connections between Jared Leto and this Tron film, which I didn't know about until last night. That being that essentially it would not exist without him. So it's really fucking tough, man, because I was hoping it was going to be good. And then turns out he's in the trailer. I was like, oh no. Anyway, we'll talk about it. Yeah, no, I mean, officially, dude, Morbin time is fucking canceled. No more. Because now we know what Morbin is. We know what it means. All right. It's apparently over the course of, a decade and a half or whatever, essaying like 17 women. That's what Morbin is. So don't morb. Nobody morb. All right. I know, man. Like, I legit haven't. I don't know if I've ever seen a trailer that went from not knowing it existed. I didn't know the project existed at all. Knew nothing about it till the start of the trailer that I clicked on, and then between that period and the point when it shows his face, I was fucking 150% all in on this movie. It looked phenomenal. It looked like everything I could possibly want from just a sci-fi movie in general. It just had the right vibe. Had 9 Inch Nails on the soundtrack, and then it shows Jared Leto, and I was like, oh. Yeah, you can still listen to the soundtrack, though, I think. You don't think you have to like the movie to enjoy the soundtrack. I do believe that Mr. Eric D. Bunks will be here at some point. I think the D stands for Dwayne. I'm not sure. But Kraftwerk was the original one, right? And then Daft Punk was the sequel. Also fucking amazing album. So let's look at some shit real quick, man. Like this.
We have now witnessed last night unfolding on our television screens from Los Angeles. It's not news. It's a chilling, like a neon bright sign flashing about democracy. We saw national CNN correspondent Jason Carroll physically detained by the federal, a combination of LA riot police, federal troops. We don't even know who the hell was involved in this thing. Putting his hands behind his back, and his security team arrested while he was reporting what was taking place in our country. And it all happened live on TV. This is not some rogue incident in a far-off land where, while covering a faraway war zone through a combination of not understanding local laws and language barriers, a war reporter was detained. That's not what this is. This is Los Angeles, California. Let's take a look. And to preview this, you'll hear Jason Carroll asking, so I'm not being arrested? And he's told, no, we're escorting you out, but if you come back, you will be arrested. This is the United States of America in June 2025.
Flyers and posters saying
CNN?
It's time to escalate.
Wait 1 second, John. Hold on. I want
to.
Jason, what's going on? I hear you. Am I seeing Jason Carroll being? What happened, Jason?
I'm being detained. Laura. I'm not being arrested. Correct, officers?
Did you hear what he told you?
No.
We're letting you go, but you can't come back.
Okay.
Because then if you come back, then you go. We're good right here.
Okay.
Okay, please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, officer.
Take care. You too. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
What happened, Jason?
If you guys can still hear me, what happened was, Yes.
I'm Chris with the New York Times. We got video of you guys.
Oh, you did?
If you need it later,
thank you.
Call New York Times.
I appreciate that.
I can hear you still, Jason. What's happening?
So here's what happened, Laura. The officer, I was called over, and the officer told me to put my hands behind my back. I said, am I being arrested? He said, you were being detained. I was walked out of the area.
Eric debunks. The D stands for Dwayne, right?
I'm assuming.
How's it going, man?
Good. Like, I couldn't get my camera to work for some reason. I kept restarting my browser, and I finally just had to restart everything. So Here
That's
I
all
am.
right. I was late as shit myself, so you know.
Well, I came in because I thought we were starting at like 4, and then I saw that it was like 30 minutes later, and I'm like, wait.
I was only had it starting at 1 my time because I asked my girlfriend. It seemed like it was just gonna be me, and I'm like, I guess what time should I start this show tomorrow? She's like, I don't know, 1. It's like okay, and then like some stuff came up. We got behind on things. I had a laundry up there that in the laundry room I needed to get, and I was like, I might as well just bump it back a little bit. So I did. But yeah, thanks for being here, man. Because it's a weird one to do on your own. I don't know if you tried It's like, hi, I'm the Shillcast. This initiative thing's working out great. But yeah, this is fucking nuts that we're here right now and dealing with this.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting because I don't think that people understand, maybe some do, how bad this is going to be for the folks when the hammer comes the other direction. Because by all accounts, they're going to lose all their power in Congress next year. Yeah. And
will it matter though?
I think the issue now is that it doesn't. Like, I think that we have a Senate that's not doing anything. And I think that's the problem. We're not seeing what that looks like because they're not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like right now we have the Supreme Court making rulings, but ultimately it's up to the House, well, not the House, but the Senate to sort of enforce some of this stuff. And that's the problem is they're not doing anything. They're not finding Trump guilty of anything. Like they're not accusing him of anything. They're not charging him with anything. They're not doing anything. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's cracked the code. We got to give the man that, I guess, because up until now, 250 plus whatever years, our system operated on the fact that like the president, the executive, would feel some sort of shame if he just did things against the rules. You know, and apparently shame is just not
shame doesn't work. There has to be action. We're in a time where shame doesn't work. There has to be action. Like there's the idea that, because I mean, if you look at the people who are there are Republicans and then there are MAGA brainwashed Republicans. We have a lot of MAGA brainwashed Republicans that just refuse to do anything about it. And I'm under the impression that there's probably a couple of reasons why. I mean, one of them could be that they're worried about the backlash. Maybe Trump or the other people around Trump have something on them and they're going to blackmail them or something. I mean, that could be one thing. Maybe the other is, you know, the money connected to them being put in their position. Maybe they feel like they'd lose money, but it's not going to matter. I think the truth is most of them, even if it's an uphill battle for us, most of them are going to get voted out next year. The vast majority of them. So what that looks like after that happens, I don't know. But
the thing is that we are not entirely powerless, despite it seeming that way. And in all immediate practical sense, yeah, we are. But there are, if you have the, I guess, the testicular fortitude and the patience to see, you know, something through over time, and you're not a cynical asshole that's just like, whoa, what could you do? Can't do anything about it because fuck you, man. There are people, their lives on the line, their lives being lost all the time.
I can't afford to be that way because I have too many people I care about. So I'm trying to fight for that. You know what I mean?
I don't even know what the fuck this means, man. Like, I mean, like to see what's going on right now and to still be doing both sides.
Yeah, I'm far beyond the both side shit. Fuck that.
Brain dead.
Fuck that. Like, look, I'm not saying that there aren't politicians don't have skeletons in their closet, but if we're talking about like the difference between what the Republican senators and representatives are willing to do versus what progressives are, that's like we're talking a million miles difference. Like it's just
taught these people that you're supposed to fucking think that your representation is a perfect human being, and like if they're not, then you're just like, you know, no, they're your fucking servant essentially, man. Like they're the closest thing that we have to someone who works for us, and we pay for it. You know, we give them the jobs. They have better fucking lives than we do. We pay for that shit. They should fucking listen to us. They should represent the people. What's up?
Yeah, Bob, I respect you, but I refuse to doom or think about anything. Like I want to wait and see what things are going to be like because some of us don't have the ability to leave this country. Like people don't have the funds to leave this country, and I'm not going to fearmonger those people. I'm going to be prepared, but I'm not going to fearmonger.
If this was a Fatcast on Sunday, Bob would be saying what you're saying. So I don't know what he's doing in chat, being a fucking shitster.
Yeah. No, I mean it's just like I have family members that literally cannot afford to leave, and we have to fight. This is our country too. I mean, we don't roll over for people. I don't know where this came from, and I'm not talking about you, Bob. This is not me talking about you. I'm saying like this whole concept that we just let them take our country. What the fuck? Like, why are people even thinking that way? Well, look at what's happening in New York and Los Angeles.
To be fair, man, they fucking did have a lot of us in like a frog in boiling water for quite a while. They kind of, you know, we always would see little bits of it here and there, once a week, twice a week. Oh, that's kind of fucked up. And then just suddenly we're just here now. I mean, it's not suddenly, but it feels suddenly.
Yeah.
But like the point is that I think that what I'm about to introduce here could be the inflection point, hopefully, because this is awesome. I want to see if you guys can guess what this is.
Oh yeah, this is the No King's Day organized. Yeah.
So these are planned protests so far. It went up by a couple of hundred new plans this morning as I was looking into it. So it went from like 1,800 to like over 2,000 planned demonstrations across the country on Saturday, June 14th, God damn it, which is Flag Day, and apparently fucking, you know, shit sack's birthday too. He's gonna be fucking 79, and he wants to do his fucking, you know, third world fucking authoritarian autocrat military parade that we've never done.
The other issue is that we have to remember there are far more of us than there are of them. There just is, mathematically. They can't stop every single demonstration in the country. It's impossible. No. There's just not enough of them. And the fact is they've targeted New York and Los Angeles, part of my state, Northern Virginia, because these are the places where they can get the most bang for their buck in terms of like being able to go on, you know, Fox and spew more lies and stuff. And so that's why they're doing it. But also we have to remember there's distractions too. Like the renaming of bases and ships, like those are distractions. Those are things that let them do it now. We can just change it back next year. You know what I mean? Like
if you aren't aware, if you don't have a filter for what you should be getting actually offended by and not at this point, I don't know, man. But like if it's stuff like bases, like, oh no, they're going to name it after a fucking long dead slave holding, you know, piece of shit. Okay, who cares? It doesn't affect anything. You should care about the fact that they cut USAID and, you know, estimates, educated estimates are that something like 300,000 people have already died from that, just that cut. Yeah, that hard cut. That's what should offend you. If that doesn't offend you, I don't know, man. Like
Pete Hegseth going to like military bases and talking about anti-woke stuff, that's a distraction. Who gives a fuck about that? Same thing with Trump doing that. Like we should be worried about some big things, like the protest happening where the government is literally breaking constitutional guidelines. Like they're doing illegal things. Trump was accused by Elon of being a big part of the Epstein files. And that is why all of this is happening.
Well, I mean, I think that it probably was going to happen. I feel like that, you know, Stephen Miller probably pushed it a little bit harder, knowing that Trump was in a vulnerable state of mind. You know, he knew he needed a distraction because, like, this is Stephen Miller shit. Like, Trump wouldn't specifically get the idea to do the type of stuff that's happening here. He has to have someone like Stephen Miller.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. He's got people like.
His intent is not to, you know, they used fucking illegal immigrants. You know, that wasn't really, you know, what they're actually talking about. They're talking about asylum seekers usually, but they're using that as pretext. What they really want is any brown person. They don't want a blended culture. They don't want a blended fucking, you know, diversity of people in this country. They want to remove it. They're not.
But the problem is, though, this is the crazy thing. This country would not function as a white ethno state. Like it wouldn't. It just can't. There's like in their mind, there's this utopian idea of women are going to have 20 babies and everybody's going to be white. That's not. It won't ever happen. It just won't. I don't know why they think that's a thing.
Because their brains are broken and fucking rotten, dude. I don't know. Like it's just.
The other thing is, think about this. Last week, we had people return to the United States from that Supermax prison, from that gulag, that are actually going to get due process. Is anybody talking about that right now? No. And the reason why is because of all of the protests that are getting like shut down now by National Guard, by Marines, because they know that when these trials happen and due process comes into play, these people are going to be found not guilty of anything they're accusing them of.
Yeah. I want to point out that like
it's all the distraction.
It's actually you guys have probably heard the fire hose strategy. Fucking Steve Bannon sat on a PBS interview and just explained to everybody during the first term that that's what they want to do, which is just giving us so much bullshit to deal with every single day that, you know, they know which things that they really care about, but they also are going to fire a bunch of shit that doesn't really matter, like the, you know, renaming the fucking Gulf of Mexico. Like, that's so stupid, dude.
It's stupid and it's a distraction. It doesn't, it's performative. It doesn't mean anything, you know?
Literally doesn't have any fact. Look, this map has Gulf of Mexico on there. So, like,
yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Well, the other thing is that RFK Jr. actually lied under oath. So he said that he wasn't going to do this, and then he did it anyway. But we're in a situation where the people that would do something about it are being very quiet. They're not doing anything. We have a lame duck Senate. Like, they're not doing anything.
This is the most, like, baited, tiny dick ass mentality I can imagine, dude. Imagine being like, I'm so scared of the woke, even though I can't define it. And it really just represents like a small minority of a few different people that have different lives than me. And being like, we need a fucking con man who's failed. You know, he's got 2 failed casinos. He's got like 19 failed businesses in his life. We need him to come and save us from the woke. Fucking pathetic.
I actually underestimated the level of stupidity, ignorance, and spite that some of the people in that community have, because they're willing to throw away everything they have to own the libs.
Yeah.
That's a level of idiocy that I can't even comprehend. Like, is owning the libs going to make your groceries cheaper? You know what I mean? Like,
they think even if not, then it's going to make them feel a little better about their lives. That's what they think, you know. And it's
crazy,
like,
though.
It's another hit of OxyContin, fentanyl, Ronin libs, whatever it is. They just need another hit of it. I did want to answer a thing here earlier.
Yeah. We got some super chats too, by the way.
Yeah, but this one I have to get this one because
I
haven't had an opportunity like this before. Let me go ahead and pull this off here. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Does this A on my head look like it stands for France? Okay. All right. I had to. All right.
Yeah, owning the libs isn't going to make gas cheaper. It's not going to make groceries cheaper. It's not going to save your Social Security. It's not going to save Medicaid. It's not going to make your healthcare easier. Like, owning the libs is the most surface level, brain dead reason to vote for anything. Like, I wouldn't vote my rights away to own the conservatives. Like, who would do that?
I don't know. Oh shit! Yeah, I got to catch up on these super chats. Okay. So Jack, thank you for the 5. I think that's pound super chat.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that people are already standing up to Trump's attempts at being a dictator just shows how sick and tired they are at all this crap happening. I mean, I see what you're saying, but it's taken longer than I would have preferred for people to wake up to this. I spent most of the first term trying not to use the F word and upset anybody. And
I mean, he's literally all the tenets of fascism have been ticked off. All of them.
Seriously, like, I mean, I almost started the show today saying something like, I wish I had, but like, how you guys doing? I hope nobody out there like spent a bunch of years telling everybody that fascism was happening. It's gonna happen. Having people tell them, no, you're fucking crazy. You're you know, blah blah. And then this, yeah, but I didn't have it really formulated how to say it. But yeah, I feel pretty frustrated, vindicated, but frustrated that so many people are like, oh yes, fascism now. You needed to see the fucking. There's certain, I guess, symbology and hallmarks that certain people needed to see happen. They didn't want to do the analysis of the systemic issues, you know, being threatened and whatnot. But yeah, here we are. Then there's honestly hope someone inside leaks the list. I mean, the other day when all that shit popped off with Musk and God, it seems like 5 years ago. I was hoping that like that Musk would just leak the list, and at the exact same time, Trump would have like SEAL Team 6 take out Musk.
Well,
that would just simultaneous release.
It seems like both of them have decided that this is like a, for lack of a better term, like a financial nuclear war between the two of them. So they've kind of backed off a little bit. Both of them have backed off a little bit, but I don't think it's the last we've heard of it. Like, I think there's going to be more to come. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, when it popped off, I was like, this is the exact same vibe on a larger scale as EVS and Eric July. Like, this was gonna happen. You know, there's just no way that this was not going to happen on a long enough timeline. I mean,
there's only enough room for one egotistical, narcissistic fascist in power. So
$5 from Super Jones Bros. The Nerdrotic Nooner pop culture show. Funny. Ventured into California lockdowns and jabs. Imagine still ranting about a cold that 99% of society has moved on from.
I mean,
it's not just a cold. It is still very much at play.
Yeah.
And there are still people that can be affected and
people that are immunocompromised still have to worry about it. And like elderly people still have to worry about it. So it's not as big a deal in like people from, 18 to 50 or whatever. But once you start getting up there, it's a problem.
So Diet in the Forest. Hey man. Hey guys, fellas. I don't imagine it's both of you sitting there operating the internet, but whichever one it is. Hi. So I was thinking about this the other day that like as a kid, I was like, who the fuck is Mon Mothma? Who is this lady? She's like in her nightgown. She's like Minnie Bothan's. Who are you? And now I'm like, oh my God, she's one of the greatest characters. She's one of the most important characters in Star Wars. And I really one of the many reasons I love Andor for just filling in that context.
Let's see.
I mean, look, man, that's kind of the thing is that, yeah, legacy media is part of it. Corporate media.
Fuck ABC, by the way.
Corporate media is a piece of shit. However, even if they were holding fast to journalistic integrity and ethics, they would be having a hard time with the shit that they're flinging out of the White House.
Shout out to all of the left-leaning progressive media that's really coming up and knocking out like the Joe Rogans and the Tim Pools. Like Midas Touch Network is killing like all of those things. So, like if you look at it, they're dominating most of the top 10. Because guess what? Now these guys with the victim mentalities are no longer victims. They're the people in power. I've talked about this before. It's shifted. So they can't cry anymore about stuff because that doesn't exist.
I think the crossing the Rubicon moment for me in particular, I mean, who knows what everybody means when they say it, but like for me, there's a point that it's going to be a whole different animal getting past this fascism than it was before. Like if it's kind of like climate change, basically. Like we can still turn back the effects of climate change, except some of it we can't.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is already so far gone that like not good, but like we're not like completely doomed. And I see this kind of the same way. Like if everybody had kind of started spotting the fascism early on, like your boy did here, and not just wasting so much time arguing with me about semantics, then yeah, we could have maybe started to formulate some kind of response and maybe made it so that he didn't even get back into office. That would have been great.
The amount of people who now say they regret voting for him is extremely high. Not that it really matters because they facilitated a lot of this, but the fact is they recognize that they fucked up. They recognize it, which means that now they know they were wrong and they're speaking out against him. And look, I don't feel any sympathy for them because they put us where we are. But the fact is they've realized that they made a mistake. So it's not something that idea of Trump derangement syndrome that a lot of them like to say and spout off. It's obviously not a real thing, but some of them are now realizing that.
Yeah.
ABC getting rid of Tony Moran is a extremely bad thing. Like, I don't even know, like once you start censoring the press without any pushback whatsoever, just because they decided they wanted to do it, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, capitulating before anybody even demands that you do that is in a way worse than just, bending whenever you're forced to.
And then Fox was praising them for it. You had Fox News praising ABC for firing a reporter for calling Stephen Miller out for what he is. That is the literal definition of free speech and free press.
I mean, look, this is exactly like these chuds that we cover, right? Like they'll talk about, somebody's getting canceled because they got criticized slightly or whatever, even though it has no effect on their ability to get a job or anything. But then, they'll turn around and like fucking spend 2 years going after what's her name, Snow White actress, I forget her name, Rachel Zegler or Brie Larson.
Well, most of their channel, I found this really funny. I know that we had the comment earlier from what was it, Jack? Was it Jack? No, Super Jones Bro.
Yeah,
like most of those channels, like, look, I accept that D-Day Cobra Jeremy is going to do politics because him and Ryan Cannell run a separate like political channel. But a lot of these guys like Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, and any of these other chud leeches that are connected to them have been so hyper-focused on the situation in LA, and they're not doing it because it's Hollywood related. They're doing it because it's Trump related.
Right.
That's why they're covering it. And they're spending hours and hours and hours, like nonstop live stream coverage of what's happening in LA. And they're doing it because they want to send a message. They're all political channels. None of them are fandom channels.
If I can say so, what I've said for years is that it's not just that they want it. This is their fucking job. This has been, at least from a certain point, I can't tell you what date it is for each one of them or anything, but from a certain point onward, they were no longer YouTube, even just disgruntled anti-fan YouTubers.
Yeah.
They were that masquerading as that, but with their true intentions being twofold grift, which is money for, you know, short-term gain, and then political fucking just extremist reprogramming of people that don't know any better.
Yeah.
And that's what they've been doing. And now, you know, once the election happened, you see that Griggs kind of pivoted even harder into it. Did you see this? You saw that post from a Critical Drinker the other day, right?
Which one? Oh, the one that was shared. Yeah, I did see that one.
Let me grab that, because he's never said anything this overtly fucking white supremacist, as far as I know. And then he just did. And I don't think it's a coincidence.
Actually, my video tomorrow is about Critical Drinker. So not about this, but about Critical Drinker.
So this, you know, this game announcing Relooted, an African futurist heist game where you reclaim real African looted artifacts from Western museums. Okay, whatever. I wonder if the game will explore why they were preserved in museums in the first place. And of course, he's not saying anything specific here because he's a fucking coward, which is why in every single video he's like, "Oh, if I was a cynical man, I'd say this thing that I'm going to say right now." But the implication there is I guess, if I'm putting on my racism hat, is that he's trying to say that we white people had to protect these artifacts from black
because
people?
of the savages and the tribes and things like that. Yeah, I mean that's what he's saying essentially.
And it's like, does he not realize white people have shit in museums too? It doesn't make any kind of sense on any level. It's clearly just done as racism bait. That's what
I mean. It's specifically like I from what I know of the game, it's specifically people reclaiming items from places where they shouldn't be, like taking them back to their culture, to their community. So that's the whole point of the fucking game.
You got to think, this is somebody who probably never has questioned what Indiana Jones did in those movies,
or Laura Croft,
or Laura Croft. Like that's just cool. That they got to it first. They get it. You know, finders keepers, right? That's they look at whether it's artifacts or whatever.
It is amazing to me that they always seem to find the most random thing to just turn into like a racist or sexist thing.
But my point when I posted this on community tab was that, like, I've never seen him say anything like this. Yeah. This is like Gary level of shit for sure. Gary will say this stuff.
Well, because we're seeing diminishing returns, like we talked about it. We ran the numbers. These guys
and it's also that they know that, like, there's that level you're 100% right on, but it's also that they need to keep pushing for their political goals. Essentially, like they're at a point when they have to fucking keep driving it. And they'd be doing that, I'm sure, if they were making more money or whatever. Because that's just where they are. They have to support this is the big push. This is the big fascism push right here, right now. We're in it. Fucking wake up. We're in it. And these guys are going to be behind it. So,
I mean, the crazy thing is that, like, we could go through, like, I have all of my notes over here of how Trump has ticked off all the boxes of fascism. Have you ever gone through and wrote out your notes for that? Because I've done it several times.
I would love to if you want to. Let's do that.
So, number one, these are the 14 elements of fascism. Okay, and I'm going to give you
Umberto Eco, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because you can also look at Jason Stanley's. I think he's got 10, and they're slightly different, but it's still pretty much one.
So, in my list, 13 of the 14 are solid, with one of them kind of questionable, but still 13 out of 14. That's pretty high number. So number one is powerful and continuing nationalism. Make America great again. I don't think we have to dive too deep into that one.
Ground floor of it, yeah.
American first, anti-global rhetoric, like that's the big one, right?
The tariffs are a policy action based on that, right? Like, because we pay too much, we're going to get them to pay us now, but and of course all it does is make consumers pay.
The second one is disdain for human rights. I mean, deportation without due process, like family separation at the border, Muslim travel bans, like
sending people to countries they aren't from, they don't know anybody in, and then putting them in a prison there.
Right.
that they might never could get out of. That's
number 3 is identification of enemies and scapegoats as a unifying cause. Again, I mean, these are all obvious ones here. Vilifying immigrants, Democrats, the media, BLM protest, all queer people, anybody that questions him, you know what I mean? Reporters, doctors, Harvard, schools, education, like all of these are unified oppositions to everything for him. And scapegoating them is like the number one thing that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Number one thing. All right. 4, and we're seeing this right now, supremacy of the military. Publicly support, over publicized support of the military, expanding domestic power, deploying the military force against protesters, and threatening martial law like actions. And we're seeing it right, like this one is happening right now. We're seeing this in Los Angeles. We're seeing it in New York. So this one's right in front of us. Number 5 is rampant sexism. Do we really have to go into that one? I feel like that one's grab him by the pussy, cheating on every single wife he's had with another woman. I mean, it's considering women to be second-class individuals, Roe v. Wade being taken away. Like there's a lot of it. Controlled mass media discrediting press again, labeling press as fake news, enemy of the people, delegitimizing journalism. We just had somebody fired from ABC for speaking out against the Trump administration. Yep. Obsession with national security. I mean, border wall, military deployments on U.S. citizens, depictions of America as under siege constantly, even though we've already determined that's not true. That's
so real quick. I wanted to hop back to the where you talked about supporting the military and there's all that because it's very much empty posturing. Because right here I've got from this is just one of several instances you can find. This is from ProPublica, investigative journalist. As of May 6th of this year, internal VA emails reveal how Trump cuts jeopardize veterans' care, including life-saving cancer trials. They basically, from what I understand, they've completely cut all funding to suicide prevention hotlines for veterans.
Yes.
So,
and they've already had people that work for Veterans Affairs hospitals saying that they were understaffed to begin with when Trump came into office. So,
well, but they shouldn't say that anymore because look at this. Trump administration warns VA employees over social media posts.
Okay.
So not only are we fucking you and we're fucking the people that you work for at the VA, but you can't talk about it because guess what? We're not actually about freedom of speech either.
Right. Yeah. No, they never were.
They must avoid posting sensitive information about the department on social media.
I thought they were the most transparent administration in history. That was what they said, right? That's why they're giving us all this information on Doge. Oh, wait, they classified a lot of that. And Trump is trying to make sure that a lot of that never comes out. So that's really interesting. All right. Obsession over national security, which is number 8. I mean, prioritizing conservative Christian values and policy. I mean, that's one of the things he does number 8 is religion and government intertwined. So that would be the prioritizing Christian conservative values and policy. Photo ops with the Bible. You remember when he took that picture across the street of the
hold it upside down? Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. And he's not even religious. He's not even a Christian. That's the funny thing.
It was funny, but at the same time, I think most, if you can, it was both. It was funny and also like, this is not good. This is not a
no. I mean, funny and like this, like, I can't believe that they think that he is a Christian because he's literally not. Number 9 is corporate power protected, which is this big, beautiful bill is all to funnel money to big corporations and like billionaires, essentially. Which is major tax cuts for corporations, rollback of business regulations, revolving door between industry and government. So essentially, when he said he wants to run the United States like a business, he didn't mean that figuratively. He meant literally. Like
he wants to run it like he ran his into the ground.
Yes. And so a lot of people that voted for him because they wanted him to drain the swamp didn't realize that, guess what? billionaires and corporations have just as many skeletons in the closet, if not more, than our government had. So it's nothing but what is it, like all these trade deals and stuff that he's been doing or not doing, I guess, to like manipulate the stock markets for insider trading, where we're seeing tons of people in Congress all of a sudden trading for the first time and magically picking the things that he is running his tariffs on and his deals on. Like, okay. Number 10 is labor power suppressed. So this is like how he goes after unions, weaken labor protections and favored corporations over the working class, which is weird because working class seems to think he cares about him, but he's not done anything to help the working class. He's not done anything. There's no policies that he's put on the table that actually help the working class. And these extensions on his tax cuts are going to increase the debt that he says he's trying to like reduce. So number 11 is a disdain for intellectuals and the arts. Harvard is a really good example. Harvard is the number one school in the world, I believe, last time I checked, in the top 10 for science and medicine, unless it's changed. All the other ones in that list are in China. So by going after Harvard because they hurt his feelings, right? Because he's doing that, he is going to drop our only top 10 university school program in the world out.
I think that we have to kind of remember, like, whenever these instances pop up, we have to go, wait a second, step back, and what's this starting? This is not the beginning and end, is not this story. They're going to go after higher education, period. They want to make it so that, first of all, obviously they want to secure their fucking power. They're going to, I just have a strong suspicion that he's not going to want to leave after his term, even though he's, constitutionally barred from being president again. But yeah, they're going to just keep doing it. They don't want the information to be out there in any kind of institutional way that this is not what America should be. Right?
I mean, let's just ask the chat. Who are, when it comes to people, who are the easier ones to manipulate? Educated people or uneducated people? I mean, it's uneducated people. They're the ones that you can convince all kinds of things because they don't have the education to know better. They don't have the wisdom to know better.
Well, of course,
that's how he got into power.
He's going after those because that's a twofer, man. Like, you're going after colleges and you're going after black people. Like,
yeah. So the thing is, you can manipulate people without an education. So he wants to remove the access to education, just like with Fauci. I mean, with Kennedy in this thing against Fauci and vaccines. Like, it's not that they want to give people an option. They want the illusion of choice, right? They want you to believe that they want to leave it up to you, just like they wanted the states to believe they gave a fuck about states' rights, and they don't. They want that illusion to exist so that people feel like there's a choice. If there was a choice, he wouldn't be going after Harvard. But he is, because he wants to take out higher education. He wants to make America stupid again. Because I would argue there are times when America's been stupid. But he wants to make America stupid again.
And by the way, guys, this was all fucking outlined in Project 2025.
Absolutely. 100%.
Which was just available to read for at least a year prior to the election. We did, I know we did a Fabcast or two about it. It was all out there, man. And we're seeing it happen, and people are like doing the Pikachu shocked face. Oh,
and then they would play this game where if you were to say, "Oh, you are manipulating people who have less or lower education because they don't have access to it," they would say, "Why do you hate the average American?" You know what I mean? Like, that would be their playbook. They would say, "You're now attacking people who don't have access to expensive schools," instead of evening the playing field and making it so that there are things available to everybody. They not only want to make it just for the elites, they want to make it impossible for even rich people and people from out of the country to go to these schools. Although I will say now, all of a sudden, there's a deal with China, and he's going to allow Chinese students to come back and start going to school here. Like, yeah, all of that.
So them and white South Africans, that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
People can make
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I said people you can make money off of. That's about it. I was going to point out that, like, so let's see. People saying conservatives are generally that's true. I'm from the deep South in Texas. I feel very fortunate, and I guess it's just by some quirk of autism maybe that allowed me to get through such a shitty high school or school experience and not be a complete idiot like a lot of people I grew up with around. There's a lot of stupid people in conservative, legislated areas.
And it's not their fault. Like, I want to point out, it's not their fault, right?
They're stupid people. They're not stupid people. There's plenty of people. It's just the capacity to learn and be smart or be educated is just as great there as it is anywhere else. It's that conservative, lawmakers, government understands exactly what we're talking about. They have for a long time. That it's easier to convince somebody that, let's say, it's really about states' rights, because then I'm just talking about, like, for example, the Civil War. Of course, they were all about states' rights with that. Like, hey, what about the states having the rights? Blah, blah, blah. No, because that you're wanting to use states' rights to own human beings. Can't do that. But if they just frame it a certain way, their people aren't going to think about it in the way that they're really intending it. So that's why these people generally, they don't even think of themselves as racist, and they might not have like super hateful thoughts in their head or anything, but they are advocating for racist policies or whatever because of the framing, and they have not been able to suss out that they're getting snowed. The framing that has been given to them is fucking deception.
Right.
And
I mean, people that have voted for Trump fall into a few groups. I know we tried to break it down before, but I mean, there are people that vote for Trump for different reasons, but none of them are good. Like, none of the reasons they're voting for Trump are good, because even the ones that they think they're doing, like the reason why they're voting for him, like to lower the debt or whatever, he's lying to them.
Well,
the
also
big beautiful bill adds to the debt. So
even if they're kind of educated, like high school, but they are like low engagement.
Yeah.
So they don't seek out more information on news stories that really matter, and you really should understand as comprehensively as possible before you have an opinion on them or whatever, or vote on it. They don't do that. They hear, oh, he doesn't like, he doesn't like the wars, right? He doesn't think we should have been in Afghanistan. Okay, sure, that's true, but like, does he mean it? For one thing, is he gonna be, contradictory about it when it comes to some other circumstance? Yes. Like, it's those are the things they don't consider.
I mean, if you look around at the Trump rallies, you'll see the vast majority of people there are only voting for him because he's owning the libs. Like, that's literally what it is. You know what I mean? Like, they don't like trans people, they don't like black people, they don't like women. They're there at those rallies because there's interview after interview after interview of different people asking them like policy positions for Trump or things that he's done in the past to make things better for them. They don't even understand politics. They don't understand politics. Well, yeah, his foreign policy's always been terrible. Like, you just have to look at his first term. Just look at his first term. It's like voting for him because you think he's going to make deals with the rest of the world when he literally has one of the worst reputations with international relations. Like, it's crazy. But we have three more things here. Obsession with crime and punishment. I mean, exporting people to gulags,
he's so
locking up
crime
people.
that he makes them up. He makes up all these crimes that are happening.
Here's a good one, number 13, rampant cronyism and corruption. Installing loyalists in key positions. Hello, his entire fucking cabinet administration. Nepotism, obviously, especially with Jared. Multiple officials convicted or indicted. Misuse of office for personal and political gain. Well, he's getting a plane. He's getting a giant, what is it, $400 million plane. Yeah. And the last one, number 14, is fraudulent election claims are undermining election legitimacy. And I don't even have to explain that one. That's
which ones were you saying were kind of like a little
so
soft?
Well, I had the labor power suppression thing there because I don't think he's outright like he's been disingenuous with them, but he hasn't really outright attacked them that I can remember. Like, is there ever a time where he's attacked unions, or is it more like he's just never delivered on promises? Because I wasn't sure.
Well, I mean, the fact is that like in the country right now, unions are not a robust, healthy thing. Period. There's like a handful.
So that's the iffy one for me, because I tried to find something that actually like lined up with that specifically, but he does not seem favorable for the working class, which would,
there you go.
Labor power suppression would be empowering them a little bit. And he's not doing anything. He's lobbying for like the rich corporations, but he's not necessarily attacking the unions, but he's not helping them either. So I feel like that one is kind of a iffy spot, but it's iffy enough where if we're talking about all of the elements of fascism, if we've got 14 elements of fascism and one of them is just sort of a question mark, I mean, I think that's a pretty big deal. You know what I mean?
I've got an article I want to read just some from. I don't think I'll read the whole thing, but I don't know. I think it's important to kind of start thinking about these things in comparison terms. So this is by Paul Krugman from Rolling Stone on May 1st. This is May 1st. If you weren't deeply afraid months ago of what a second Trump administration would mean, you weren't paying attention. The attack on democracy and rule of law, the transformation of the land of the free into a nation where masked government agents kidnap people on the streets and opposition to the leader is criminalized, was completely predictable. Even those who knew the bad things were coming, however, have been startled by the damage MAGA has done to our strengths, the speed, if you like, with which it has undermined American greatness. It is obvious that Trump and company would pursue some bad economic policies, but few expected them to create a full-blown crisis in a matter of months. It was obvious that Trump's allies would degrade governance, but not that they would rapidly bring the whole apparatus of government to the point of collapse. Sorry, I had to burp. It was predictable that MAGA would go after inconvenient research like the study of climate change, but not that it would move so decisively to destroy American science and intellectual endeavor in general. And much of the damage will be permanent. Even if MAGA is eventually driven from power and its policies reversed, we may never go back to being the nation we were just a few months ago.
Oh, I think we're beyond, like, there's some things that are just beyond fixing. Like, there's some things that we'll never fix, not in our lifetime.
I mean, I think that's really naive, man. I'll be honest. Maybe it's just kind of cope talk. That's what you tell yourself. Maybe you're just not aware of some of the things, but like, it's not clear that that's the case.
We have never had a president in my, like, I can't think of one that has destroyed the country as quickly as Trump has.
I mean, I kind of got onto somebody in Discord earlier because, you know, he's like, Trump's not going to do anything. He's all talking. It's like, man, you really shouldn't speak with such confidence on shit like this. If the goal is to dismiss people's concern and kind of dissuade people being interested in what's happening. I mean, that's really fucking just hubristic.
Reagan was the beginning of like the economic issues that we have in the country, but he didn't destroy the country in the way that Trump has. Like, Trump has destroyed internet. Let's look at this. We don't have any real allies in the world. The ones that we do have are paper thin because he's destroyed all of that. He slapped tariffs on countries like Australia where we had a trade surplus with them. He's gone after Canada, one of the biggest importers of American goods. They're one of our biggest trade partners. If not, I think they were the biggest trade partner in the world.
I'm sorry, man. Like, I mean, I don't think you understand what you're engaging with here. Presidents aren't supposed to have a whole. I mean, they do have a lot.
There's
of power.
No checks and balances. We just talked about this, though.
This guy has already blown past whatever limitations presidents had, and not to mention the fact that even before Trump, the executive powers had been broadly, just increased over the last several administrations, basically since 9/11.
I mean, let's talk about the Supreme Court ruling. 9-0 said that he should not be deporting people without due process. Did that stop him from doing it? No. He's still doing it now. It's still happening. The Supreme Court, the biggest court in our country, told the president, you cannot do that. And he is still doing it. So if that doesn't give any sort of like idea of what we're dealing with, I don't know what to tell you. The Supreme Court is not a suggestion. It is a ruling. And typically we've had presidents
don't have power. Like, presidents have power, militaries have power. They're different kinds of power. They also, depending on how much of the military is in favor of whoever the president is, which generally is probably a lot of them, that are cool with Trump and voted for him. Whether or not, like, for instance, when Russia attacked Ukraine, unprovoked, just decided they want to fucking claim Ukraine as their geography now, because that's what happened. Pretty soon you started hearing a few stories of like some of these Russian soldiers that just like quit because they were like, they didn't know it was going to be like this. They just, they were in the military because it's, something to do with your life, right? And they get in this and they go into Ukraine. They know it's fucked up what they're doing, and several of them started quitting and going home and stuff like that, or whatever. But not enough of them, obviously, to stop the war effort. But it happened. But if there was enough, then you might see things have gone a different way. These things are much more complicated than what this kind of comment is suggesting. But I know this guy right here, Ryan, is going to set us all.
I want to point out though that I don't. Maybe I'm having an issue understanding like how people are seeing this.
I don't know. This is just stupid, dude. I'm not telling you to be afraid. I'm not afraid. If I was afraid, I would not be on this fucking channel talking about this shit.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you have to be fucking realistic. This just honestly seems like cope. Like you don't want to think about the possibility that things might not go this way because you won't know what to do. There you go. Sorry.
I do want to point out that I find it a little bit intellectually dishonest for people to not recognize the damage that's been done in the short amount of time that he's been in office. Like he has destroyed relationships with the rest of the world, which has weakened the United States as a power, because every bit of leverage we had in terms of like being able to influence the rest of the world, the things that a lot of people here, America first, would want is the ability to influence the rest of the world in a positive way or whatever way they think it is. He's eroded that. That's gone. Like we have to build that back up, and that can't even start until he's out of office. So we've got another 3+ years of trying to get around this egotistical, like narcissistic fascist president while the rest of the world is moving on without us. A lot of these countries now have trade deals with other countries that we don't even have to be involved in. For example, I've seen videos of people in Asia who are like, we have a deal now with Australia. We've made them richer because now we're buying all of our meat products from that country. They made a massive deal with Australia. So what I'm saying is we have lost our standing in the world because of Trump. We've been downgraded in the world on credit. We're going to be adding trillions of dollars of debt if this package passes. I don't think there's again, intellectually dishonest comments. I can't imagine that you're looking at what's going on and thinking that this is even remotely similar to anything else we've seen in our lifetime, because it's not.
The outside perspective, I know for many years I've heard America is the greatest country in the world, and that's been reinforced so much. I think that far too many of you actually believe that, based on things like the enormous amount of wealth that you've accumulated, and that is impressive. But I don't think any American really understood sort of below the people who ran the big corporations that the reason America has been so rich is because of its flexibility with world trade.
Mm-hmm.
Australia should be trading with Japan. They're that much closer than they are than the US. We should be trading with Europe because America is so far away geographically, purely based on that. The different legislation, like we don't take so many American food products because the standards that you use are so different to ours, and by different I mean lower.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes it's not, sometimes we're overly cautious, but a lot of the time the practices that make your food so cheap for you make it impossible for us to import, which is why all that big beef deal that Trump put together, that's not for human consumption. I don't think. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think it's something else. I think it's like for pet food or something.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a smoke and mirrors game. The one thing America has done well is it has exported labor to places it's cheaper, so it could import the goods, and that's what Trump has destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
The reason, I mean, and it's horrible to say it, because the reason all the labor was leaving America at the rate it was is because it was cheaper to make it in sweatshops in other countries.
Yeah.
And
I also think there's a lot of fake concern trolling about that from like Trump supporters that act like, oh, we don't want slave labor. You were okay with it for your entire lifetime until Trump came along, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh, actually the Democrats must want slave labor. It's like, no, this entire country benefited from other countries having a smaller hourly wage than what we had because of where they are in the world. And nobody ever, well, I say nobody, the vast majority of the public never even thought about it before, until now.
To be fair, sometimes it wasn't slave labor. It was the relative cost of things in those countries compared.
True.
So, and also the mechanization. The reason the car industry took such a hit when it first was because they could make cars on an assembly line with no people. So the point of that is that the left said, well, you can't just fire all these people in one go and replace them with robots. And the
Right.
right said, well, sure we can. And they did. And it's the same with this. And I think this is the thing that is so hard to explain because it's a complicated issue. Slave labor is bad. But you can't just flick the switch and turn it off.
Right.
Now you've become so reliant on it. And it's really, really weird. Just a few months ago, people talking about how the UK didn't have freedom of speech and how we were a police state. And all those people have suddenly gone silent.
Yeah. I want to point out also, there's a big chunk of channels here on YouTube. I'm not going to call them all out by name because I'd have to go back and remember what exactly was said. But I do remember sort of in a broad way, the sentiment. Back in November, when Trump was elected, I think we talked about it. I did a couple of live streams about it. And everything that I said was going to be a problem. And it was like, oh, you're just fear mongering. That's not going to happen. He's never going to do that. He's done almost every single one of them within the first few months of his presidency.
You can go back and look through my early videos where I, would use the word fascism or authoritarianism or whatever. And like, you can just see people in my comments, essentially trying to shut that shit down. It drives me insane that now there's still people that are presumably not even actually fascists, although they very well could be that and pretending to not be, because that's one of the ways that they gain power and influence.
There was a
go ahead.
There was a recent clip of Adam Conover on Tim Pool. I'm sure you saw that, where Tim Pool was saying, because Adam Conover had just been to the UK, and Pool was saying, well, you couldn't make a joke about Islam there because you'd be arrested, which is categorically not true, by the way. There are comedians that do it, but there are a couple of great comedians, Dara O'Brien and Stuart Lee, make excellent points that the reason British comedians, or indeed American comedians, don't make jokes about Islam is because they're either racist, or if they're actually clever, you wouldn't understand them because you don't know the first thing about Islam.
Right, exactly. Yeah. If it was a joke, if it was a racial joke and not a racist joke, most of them wouldn't get it. That's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, how much do you know about the tenets of Islam to be able to understand a subtle deconstruction of the faith as a whole?
Shara law. That's all they keep saying is this. Shara. I've heard that so many times. They don't even know what that is.
I mean, it's the same reason that comedians don't do jokes about what it's like living on Mars, because people don't know.
Your joke would absolutely 100% be racist if you were joking about things that are all stereotypes and have no bearing in reality. That's absolutely the problem.
Sorry, I want to show this video real quick.
Yeah,
if you don't mind, just a bit of it, because this is from less than an hour ago.
The White House warns of additional military deployments in American cities. With pockets of unrest persisting in Los Angeles, ICE preparing to deploy tactical units to major U.S. cities, and protests against the administration's immigration crackdown spreading across the country. At the White House today, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt doubled down on the president's harsh rhetoric.
The mob violence is being stomped out. The criminals responsible will be swiftly brought.
I want to address this mob violence, this violence that's happening, right? These cities burning down. God damn, I live in Portland, man. It's burned down like 3 or 4 times. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Bob the old ways, he lives in LA. It's complete. It's just an ash now. We said LA now stands for Lost Ashes. No. So back in 2020, during that whole summer of pretty fucking wacky clashes with the cops, especially here in Portland, there was repeatedly these fires shown, and you'll notice that right here. It's always a fire in the background. Oh, something on fire. Oh my God, there's so much things on fire. It's typically 1 or 2 things, maybe a building, maybe that does happen sometimes. But here in Portland in particular, there was all the action that happened all summer was in like 2 or 3 square blocks downtown around the courthouse. There was a dumpster that was, set ablaze within the first week or something. That video got reused so fucking much.
Yeah.
And then people are literally saying, "Oh, dude, Portland's on fire right now." And I'm like, I'm fine. I don't look out my window. I don't see any fire anywhere, man. It's a pretty big place. It's not even
one
really
tiny section of a city where something is happening is not the totality of the city.
So
you know what I mean?
The thing they're talking about when they talk about mob violence is like a car got fucked up or something like that. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm sure. Hopefully that's not some poor person that needs, can't get to work without that car. That if so, that sucks. But I mean, at the same time, there's once again, just with USAID, 300,000 people's lives, mostly women, children, and disabled people and elderly, dead because Musk got in there and said, we don't need this. Just 300,000 people. You know how many people died in Nagasaki and Hiroshima? It's less than that. Combined, it's less than that, which is crazy. That's where we're at, man. And if you're like going, oh no, somebody's car got burned, or this building got some
This
windows
concept
broken.
of property over people is so weird to me.
So I mean, but it's inherent to fascism because and especially when it comes to like the police, because the police are not here for us. They're here for property. They're here for rich people and their property.
Yeah, absolutely. The police are just an extension of the state controlling property rights and things like that. They don't have anything to do with protecting people.
Yeah,
I
man,
saw a video just yesterday of people walking down the street shopping in Los Angeles. Like, it's crazy.
Yep.
Well, if you want to start contrast to this, I don't know if you guys remember this. I don't know how well remembered it was reported, but a few years ago now, we had a summer where for some reason kids just started rioting, teenagers, in sporadic cities across the UK, and the police didn't go in heavy-handed. They let them basically get it out of their system, and it was awful. And people who were caught were prosecuted. The people who actually did the crimes, but the police basically handled it very well. And the next day, people who lived in the area, they went out and they got brushes and they got brooms and they just cleared up, and we got on with it. This is escalation. This is purposeful.
That's why
escalation.
Gavin Newsom is suing the White House. They're suing Trump because he said, you didn't even give me a chance to respond to what was happening. You escalated this with ICE and then immediately and illegally brought in the National Guard, and then against the Constitution have brought in the military into my state. You didn't even give me an opportunity to respond to something that we were totally capable of handling.
And it was being handled.
Yeah.
It was that you could watch footage of it being handled. They were just letting the police set up a line and they were letting people get on with it.
And the issue is, until we get a Senate that is going to do what they're supposed to be doing, this is going to continue because they're not going to hold him accountable. That's the issue.
And let's be clear about this. Trump is using the army as his own personal weapon. He doesn't care about them. He sent 2,000 National Guard with no food, no water.
Yeah,
no
they're
way to
sleeping
stay.
on the floors of like random buildings and things like that. They're not even in tents or anything like that. It's crazy. I mean, like, regardless of where you stand politically, you have to see this as an overreach of power. You have to. And I know there's a lot of like, fuck yeah, America guys out there that are looking at this and going, this is a good thing. It's not, though, because they just dismantled, like, apparently today in one of the press conferences, they talked about like dismantling FEMA. I don't think that the people that voted for Trump understand what that fucking means.
No, they do, because they've been holding on to this for a long time, man. I don't know if you remember, but during the Obama administration, FEMA was putting together death camps for them.
Right.
And they're fucking.
They're
That's where I
find out
realized
very
how
quick.
detached from reality they were becoming. Was like, wait, what the fuck are they
You
talking
know
about?
that like some of the biggest states that use FEMA money is like Florida, Texas, a lot of the Midwest states. The only state that uses FEMA money for anything that is a blue state is California, and that's usually during the wildfires.
And I mean, yeah, these people don't understand shit, because the fact is, you know, and this is not something I would hold over anybody's head. And I think we should do this, or at least did think we should, but apparently it's not working out. Like, they are essentially, the red states suck at the teat of the blue states.
Yes.
We, you know, our taxes, our industries fucking pay for them to be fucking fentanyl addicts on their couches.
Talk about people fraud in the
like,
Medicaid department. It mostly comes from those states,
yeah,
the red states, and it's not even a large amount. It's a very small amount.
I got some alarming, concerning video here. I warn you, this is a live feed to the protests in LA.
Okay,
brace yourselves.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, no.
Oh wow.
I mean, you're going to have to turn this off. This is too.
This is
frightening.
too much fire and destruction. This is against YouTube's terms of service for sure. Yeah, crazy. Look at all the military.
I'm sorry you guys couldn't see that.
Look at all the military bros in the back just standing there doing nothing. It's crazy. It's so performative. Like
just while we were watching it on the Fabcast the other night, there's literally cops sitting on horses, just kind of casually talking to each other amidst a shitload of protesters roaming around.
Right.
These cops clearly are not worried about anything that's happened. There is a car on fire in the background. They've probably been sitting there watching it for 3 hours at that point. You know what I mean? Like that's it. That's what's happening.
Harlan, hurricane victims and people in those states like Florida where it's a big deal, they're going to find out really quickly how things don't get fixed when the government doesn't help you with money. Because
hurricane season's on the way, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
It's not going to be good, man. So, let's see. Look, man, this kind of comment, I recognize that you think you did something here, right? I just wish you understood that I've been at this for 5+ years now, and I can see through you, right? Like I see exactly who you really are, who you think you are presenting as, and it all is very stupid and hollow and performative, and it tells me your life is sad.
I'm thinking of becoming one.
Yeah, it's not an insult. Like everything you say just gives away more and more about you. You don't even realize.
I will say that there are elements of socialist and communist things that are actually good for society, but
we already used them.
Yeah, I mean, like literally most of our systems that are public assistance are a form of either socialism or communism. So,
well, apparently I live in a socialist country, and
can we come live with you, Ryan?
You can, yeah. We could do with the rent, yeah.
All are out, like we can kind of even out the population.
But I guess because we've already been live for an hour and 20 minutes, did we want to actually talk about Jared Leto?
Yeah, it's probably should. Yeah,
this fucking Superman trailer. James Gunn's been cooking, and they've been holding it back. I don't know if you guys.
I got my
ticket
first
sales
piece of
crashed
merch.
Fandango yesterday. It was pretty crazy.
Holy shit!
I got my first piece of actual merch as well.
I love that. That is such a beautiful representation of Superman.
Love it.
It's for those. Man. It's for those of us because Father's Day is approaching. It's for those of us without real children.
I got the Battlestar Galactica box set on Blu-ray because they keep fucking flipping that around on different platforms, and I got mad about it. And my amazing girlfriend was like, "Well, why don't you just own it?" Cool. Anyway, so watching this new Superman trailer, and the first minute or so, it's like, yeah, I've seen this. Cool. All right, maybe a slightly different angle of something I've already seen. Then you start seeing little things, big things too. That's like, oh my god. You start to get a much clearer idea of what this film's going to look like, what it's going to be about, and holy shit.
We also should we do our super chats before we get into this, by the way?
Yeah, do we have some?
We have a few, yeah. Let's see here.
All right.
The last one you did was that, that's the next one.
So yeah, this somebody shared it. I couldn't look at it because I didn't want to I didn't take the time to go do the whatever incognito to read it, but it was a paywalled. I did see that though, generally that has occurred, that someone looked into it, and that this is, I mean, it's pretty obvious, man, that like they're at the very least they're not worrying about the fringes of, like if I came on a stream and the first thing I said was F slur inward, that would probably, they'd do something about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like if I stream for an hour and a half, and then I start talking about how, white people are just actually in genetically superior, whatever, like they're not going to do shit about that.
Right.
Because it's not, I mean, yes.
Well, I'll be honest, like if you go to like any of the major like nerdrotic streams or whatever, they break the rules all the time and nothing ever gets done to their content. So
yeah,
that's one of the quote unquote skills that they have, that they've developed, is knowing what they can and can't say. They push it on purpose, and they find the boundaries. That's why every once in a while you'll see a clip go around of like one of them saying something super egregious because they're kind of testing the fucking boundaries again.
Well, it's weird that the YouTube are even bothering to change their policy because they don't enforce it amongst the bigger channels anyway.
Yeah.
I've never seen them really be consistent with enforcing it in any way that substantively matters to the people who are affected by the speech.
Actually, the channels that should be the most affected by the terms of service are the bigger channels, because those are the ones that get the most visibility. So,
well, yeah, they got the most reach. They have reach
logic and fucking humanity at all. It would be like, okay, these large channels that repeatedly do this stuff, they should have more scrutiny, and maybe over time have more increasingly severe consequences because they have a larger effect, and there's in many cases they're obviously doing it on purpose. So yeah, that's how, if I ran YouTube, that's how it would be for sure.
Then even like copyright moderation, I don't think half the time they enforce that seriously on the big channels, because when they do, like I think Warner Brothers took down one of Critical Drinker's videos because he used too much of stuff that didn't belong to him, and the first thing he did was went crying to Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I think I saw Griggs did a video about how they canceled him or whatever, and like they always come to each other's defense over the dumbest shit.
And they know that, and this is one of their many lies, like the downvoting button. They know why YouTube enforces the copyright thing, and they know how it's done. It's done automatically if you use too much of a certain piece of media.
Yeah, sorry, Sharknado. We're actually talking about toxic content and toxic content creators. I apologize that we do have to discuss that, but if you're just looking to have your hand held and be told everything's okay,
no, this person it's that same person that you banned for the communism comedy. He's another account.
Shit. Cool.
We had Jack Sheely here. I was reading V for Vendetta as a way of coping with Trump becoming president. Absolutely amazing comic and tearing down the government for freedom. Yeah, that's a good one. Actually, I mean, is the movie good for everybody? I don't want to say it is, because I feel like some people have a different opinion of it.
50-50. I think it's got good bits to it, but it's also got some daft bits.
What movie?
To it.
V for Vendetta versus the comic. Yeah.
Well, I liked it a lot when I first saw it, and then I read the book and I realized the kind of flaws that the movie has. At the same time, is it fair to compare those two and say that the movie is just not as good? Because not really. I think the movie does a more reductive, simplified, decent job of what the book does. That's my opinion.
What's funny though in this country is Guy Fawkes is that we're at the point now where nobody's really sure exactly what we celebrate. We don't know if we're celebrating the fact that he failed or that he tried.
Right. Oh, that's good.
Angels Art and Gaming with a $5 super chat. Thank you. The first red flag to me was he still got elected even after 34 confirmed felonies, which, by the way, he's trying to get that, like, I think he's taking it back to the courts to try and get that, like, scrubbed. Meanwhile, my job needed 2 drug tests and a clean background check. Yeah, I mean, that's, again, I mean, that kind of ties into the whole YouTube ecosystem as well. Like, you get to a certain level of money and power, all of a sudden the rules become a little more flexible for you.
Yeah.
But the most, like, targeted, struggling portions of the country that need the work and need the jobs, you have to jump through a million hoops to get anything done. So,
man, so I remember reading an article. I don't remember where it was. It's not a usual source that I read, but I happened upon it. This was maybe summer of 2023 or something like that. It was right after basically some of the first kind of Trump's court cases were coming up. He was running for president, and then like something that the court decided basically gave him a big win, so that he might not have to face any consequences. And so these two people, I don't even remember who they were, wrote a very compelling argument of like, if things go this specific way, it's not good for the country. Like, and this makes it look like these things might go that way. And I remember reading that, and at that point, generally, I still held the view that, like, man, this guy's been fucking convicted of this shit. Everybody saw what happened on January 6th. Yeah, there's still people that deny it, whatever, but, like, most people are not going to let this fucking guy back into office.
Right.
And then here we are.
There's actually a reality that he didn't win. I mean, there is some actual, like, investigation that's been going on showing that it's almost mathematically impossible for him to have taken all of the states that he took. So
that would be the best possible thing that Musk could do, is just to be like, look, here's where I fucking cheated. He won't do that, but
no, but there is investigations going on into that, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I think even if they proved with beyond a doubt that he cheated, nothing would happen.
No, but I mean, I'd love to know if he did it.
So because I sat here and explained to you that we're not talking about just being pants pissingly scared. That's not what we're doing, and you repeated that. So it just tells me you're not listening, you're not engaging with the things we're talking about, and you're mischaracterizing what we're talking about. So I just didn't think you needed to be here having anything to say. So
I mean, my simple rule is expect the best but prepare for the worst.
Yeah, that's
now here's where it's going to become a problem again, because I'm here This is, one of the channels you're watching it on is mine.
It's not my channel. I don't know which channel they're in. So,
but generally, we all kind of give each other co-power over these streams when we're doing them. And here's the thing: if you're arguing with me about you not doing anything wrong, that's breaking a rule because you don't fucking run this shit. We do. No, you can't have your own point of view when it's about describing my perspective. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You can't say you're afraid and that's, oh, I'm not going to be scared like you. That's not what's not what we're talking about. And if we are scared, we're not scared. Well, I'm not scared for myself. Not at all. I could just fucking shut my stream down, turn off my social media, which I pretty much have anyway, and I'll be fine. But I have people that I really do care about and I really love.
I mean, the reality is that I'm a white cisgender guy. Yeah, I'm LGBT, but I could easily pass where I needed to be protected. There's a lot of people in my community that can't.
I am scared. I'll say that. I am scared for other people. And if you are just so disconnected from other people and caring about human beings, even if you don't know them, that you don't feel any fear about what's going on for those people, I don't know. I pity you, I guess.
I don't think we'd be yelling at President Harris because this situation wouldn't even be happening. You know what I mean? Like, it would be another quiet day in the country. That's the one thing is people talk about Sleepy Joe. The good thing is we didn't have to think about what he was doing. It was just happening. And like, I wake up every day wondering what thing Trump is going to do to make my life worse. Like, that's literally what I wake up to.
I would avoid using this kind of like this logic of like, oh, if this one thing a bit different, then we wouldn't be here. Because I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think they were determined to get this man back in so that they could do exactly what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And that's just there. No telling what they would have done in an alternate timeline to make that happen. But
and if you want proof that they didn't believe or they didn't care about any of the negative things they said about Biden or the things they said about Harris or the things they would be saying about Harris right now, every single one of them, whenever they're asked, what would you do if Biden or Harris was doing the things that Trump was doing, they all say, oh, well, that's different because
there's no consistency in with it at all. So okay, so anyway. I want this comment from Jack. I don't think we addressed it. The new Wonder Woman movie.
It's an interesting question. I wouldn't want somebody young, if that makes sense. I think wouldn't. Okay. I think you at least need somebody, I think, who feels like they've lived.
Who feels like they've mastered the English language. Sorry.
I would say I would almost say I'd be okay with like almost a no-name type casting. Somebody that's not that we've never seen in anything.
I mean, that's what Gal was.
Yeah. I mean, I'd appreciate something like that again, with Wonder Woman. I think when you start getting into like people that are established, it becomes a little messy on whether or not we see that person as that character. So I'd be okay with like a sort of no-name person.
To try and rephrase what Dana just said, I'd like to see somebody with a face who's lived in, if that makes more sense. Somebody who has had, just looks, they don't have to be necessarily like someone in their 60s or whatever.
You mean like a little bit of range to do like more than one tone through the whole movie?
Yeah.
No. Sorry.
I mean, you could try to find a Greek actor. But
let's not make this stream about you, please. There's like 75 other people watching, so let's move on.
Yep.
Okay. I've read some great Wonder Woman stories, and I've read some that I really don't connect with at all. I think the character obviously is iconic for a reason. Even if I don't specifically relate to it, I want to see a good version of any of these characters. It's my position.
I want somebody who can basically boss Batman and Superman around, because they've got the experience that those two haven't. You know what I mean? And I don't know who would do that.
Fuck yeah, that's where it's at. Because I mean the last two times, who do we know that they cast twice previously? Obviously Gal Gadot, and then what's her name? Forget her
Linda
name.
Carter.
Who?
Linda Carter?
No. There was before that. There was a pilot shot for.
Adrienne
Padalecki.
Yeah.
And I like her. She's great, but still, I think it would have not fit what we're talking about. Is probably a good direction to go with as far as being like just exudes wisdom and confidence and shit.
I just got a message from someone saying that Star Wars Theory is going to go on Matt Walsh's podcast.
Of course he is.
They disagree, though.
Yeah.
They've got a fundamental disagreement.
Are you
because
fucking
Matt Walsh...
serious right now, dude? I'm gonna please say you're joking right now, or you can fuck off.
I mean,
dude.
this is obviously a troll.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
man! Don't let this fucking guy be on the stream anymore. All right.
I mean, like,
I haven't read the last 2 issues. I think
I was willing to accept that some of the stuff he was saying prior to that might have been legitimate, but once he was like, "This is Asian hate," because he's
what's funny is I'm literally wearing my Japanese Spider-Man shirt today. So when I saw him, I was like, "Oh hey," and I was, but I'm glad I didn't fucking make a big deal out of it, like I almost did. Fuck him, man. So let's see. Did you guys see this, by the way?
Surrounded by 20 Kermit the Frogs.
Do you believe you are Jordan Peterson?
What do you mean by believe?
I don't know if you're copying my voice or what.
That's the circular definition.
That's the circular definition.
You stake your life.
You stake your life on it.
And you die.
And you die for it. I feel like I'm talking to myself here.
How much do you know about me?
Hypothetically, if you were born Jordan Peterson, but you talked like Kermit the Frog, that would just make you a human with a frog voice.
You're generating an impossible, restricted, hypothetical, with no precursors to back me into...
I can't tell them apart.
Oh, God.
You like eating red meat, right?
Sure.
And what do Jordan Petersons love eating more than anything else?
Why are you asking me?
Because you are Jordan Peterson.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Is this Jordan Peterson versus Kermit the Frogs?
Don't be a smartass.
Either you're Jordan Peterson or you're not. Which is it?
You're really quite something.
That's because you're Jordan Peterson, you're not a frog.
Yeah, I'm done with him.
I respect Dr. Peterson, but I think he's losing it.
Crow, ribbit.
Jeez. I hadn't seen that. That's hilarious, though. That was like, I would love to react to more of that content, but they flag everything.
Yeah, Jubilee are terrible for it, which is
And
weird.
the funny thing was, they didn't used to be like when they first started. They were like, "We want everybody to share our content," which would make more sense for them. But they go through and they flag everything.
What probably happened is that they're like, "Oh shit, look at all these views we're getting, all this attention. We could be making money off of that, but we're not flagging everything."
Well, I think as well, they used to make very clippable content, and now a lot of people are reacting to their whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a clone of that yet, because literally somebody could be like 15 people versus one Republican or something. Like, they don't have to. Jubilee doesn't own that concept.
Like, do
Anybody
something
can do
similar like that, like in porn, but not really. Anyway,
I want to do, like, I might even start doing it on my channel, like 15 or 9 Snyder shills versus like one James Gunn
that'd be
fan or
awesome,
something
dude.
like that.
I would support the shit out of that. Only reason I wouldn't do something like that is, well, because I've literally done calls for people to come on streams and talk with me, and they just don't do it, or they act like they're going to.
I actually set up a Google Voice number specifically to do a call-in show, like an actual call-in show. I've got to get the whole.
If you want to talk about, after the show or whenever, like we've been kind of throwing that around for this show for a while, or maybe another day or something like that. I'd be willing to give my Friday shows to that. I definitely want to change something up and have more conversations. And the difficult thing is, the people that are in support of what's happening right now, the people that are in support of anti-fan content, it's just by its very nature, they're not going to be very good at discussing things with any degree of
but that makes interesting content. I think if we have somebody call in that can't defend their position, it will be kind of interesting, I think, for people.
one thing I would suggest, if you can set it up, is to have somebody call the screen the calls.
Yeah.
Just to check that they can string a sentence together, because that's the other thing.
We could reach out to Dyad in the Force. I don't know if you guys are still watching, but I know you guys do a Friday call-in show as well. And then, it seems like it'd be a little bit of a tricky thing to get going right off the bat, but it could be fun.
I'm going balls in with no like
No
they call
fucking
in, they like I pick up and talk to them. Yeah, that's what
Bring
it's
on
gonna
the
be.
chaos.
Only because I think that would, for me, that's more of my vibe. Like, for a show like this, we'd probably want to sort of censor it a little bit.
So I was not aware of really what the deal was with the new show of King of the Hill until tragically Jonathan Joss was murdered by a homophobic neighbor. But having looked into what the premise is, I think that the very premise of it addresses MAGA in an interesting way, because for the past 10 years, Hank and Peggy have been living in the Middle East selling propane and propane accessories. And they're just now coming back.
Right.
In Texas. So I imagine that it's going to be like these conservatives, like these are historically, this is what you think of as conservative. They're going to come back to America as it is now.
Right.
That seems like some ripe opportunity for some possibly good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like where people are actually far more insane than Dale now. You know, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I hope they make him the same character, but also not falling for new conspiracies.
Like he sees these people as like they're nuts, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's the real.
Like,
he
doesn't buy this new conspiracy because that conflicts with this other crazy old conspiracy that he has, kind of thing.
Yep. Yep.
But actually, that actor passed away as well. So I don't know how much they got done with him, but
they've recast that voice actor because he died before this went into production.
I think somebody else from the cast is doing his voice, right? Isn't it like somebody else on the cast?
No, it's another actor who sounds exactly like him. The only thing I know him from, and this is going way back, was he was in an episode of Seinfeld, where he played like a pitchman for a used car company or a mattress company.
Interesting.
I've seen him in other stuff, but nothing I could. But yeah, he sounds a lot like him. So, and of course, Brittany Murphy died as well. So Luann's not coming back.
Which would have kind of made it weird to have John Redcorn, or no, I guess he's more connected to Dale's wife. Sorry.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, Tom Petty's dead too. So like, a lot of people died.
Yeah.
The actor that voiced Cotton is voicing Dale.
Interesting.
That's right. It was somebody from the show. I'm completely wrong. Yeah. The actor that voiced Cotton and Khan was replaces Dale, and they do sound.
The original Dale voiced half the season, or half the series.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought.
I also see that Hulu is going the way of like going out to pasture, I guess is the best way to put it. Disney is buying the final shares to get full control of Hulu, and they're just gonna like put all of that stuff on Disney Plus and drop Hulu as a service, I think.
I mean, I already use them both as the same platform. So like I typically will watch Hulu stuff through Disney Plus at this point. So why not?
Yeah, well, it's always been that way. I think worldwide because Hulu is America only.
Yeah, it's only in the USA. Yeah.
So yeah, we've got it's called Star here, but it's in exactly the same channel as Disney Plus.
I wish that they would do something about like the Channel 4 stuff in the UK not being available the rest of the world because I'm tired of using a VPN to watch everything.
Unfortunately, that's due to the unique way the British TV is funded.
But how would VPN services like market themselves? If they,
I guess. Like I've been watching The Great Pottery Throwdown. I'm on like season 7 of that now. So
that's BBC. That's a BBC show, so that's why you can't get that.
That's probably what it is. Yeah. I love it. The guy always cries, like Keith, the guy that does he cries constantly. I guess that's probably a big deal over there because he gets a lot of social media clips from that.
I wish I had comedian...
Sorry. I'm trying to move on to this point.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the last thing on it. Did you see the comedian Johnny Vegas in an early series throw a part on there? He's a British comedian, but he used to be a potter, and
No.
Yeah, I'm kind of infatuated with any show that they do art. So pottery's right up my alley.
So let's address the goddamn Jared Leto of it all.
Yep.
I guess like a month or so ago now, that trailer for Tron Ares that I had no idea that movie was even happening.
I love the trailer too, by the way. I thought it was a good trailer.
Like, oh my god! I click on it. 9 Inch Nails.
Yep.
My favorite fucking dramatic, filmic kind of color combination. Last Jedi.
A bit disappointing for me because I did like the Daft Punk soundtrack for the last film. I thought that was probably the best thing about it. But
I was trusting it, and then the premise of them being in the real world, they fucking cut the cop car in half. I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be fucking sick. Then it shows Jared Leto's face, and I was like, oh.
This guy again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then I found out he's the villain. I'm like, maybe I can watch it. Maybe I can, but I don't want to watch it if I'm having like him. You know what I mean? but I was probably still going to see it because it drops pretty much right around my birthday.
Right.
It's like, that'll be a cool birthday movie to see. Sure. Then yesterday, was it yesterday? Day before? You know, this stuff's been circulating around to varying degrees.
I think it was like 2 days ago is when I saw it. So yeah.
It's all been collected and blasted out of there now. So 17 different women who weren't women at the time whenever the incident took place.
Oh my God. So gross.
You know, imagine that. Jared Leto's a weirdo. Who would have thought? But, and maybe, you know, I don't even think he was doing like, you know, he wasn't even doing method acting for like some pedo movie he was doing or something. No, he was just doing this shit apparently.
Yeah, and like you said, rumors have been circulating for years about him having his weird cult, and nothing ever came of it. And then obviously now something has, and a lot of people were already turned off him, but this is just going to be the final straw for hopefully everybody.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, I'm honestly done with him. Like Blade Runner 2049, one of my best favorite movies. He's almost like he's right at the line of like, I wish he wasn't in there, but he does do a pretty creepy job of whatever, you know, he's barely in it, so that's fine. Okay. But like, there's a problem with it because
he's also Skeletor in Masters of the Universe.
Not anymore. No, that's not going to happen.
You don't think so?
I think he's just killed the Tron franchise at this point because he's not just an actor in the movie. This movie would not exist without him. He funded it.
Right.
He's an executive producer. He put a lot of money into it. He like it was one of his favorite things. He's been trying to make happen for a long time. So like the success of this movie is success for Jared Leto in a way. And more than just the acting regard, like you could see the movie otherwise and go, he's just an actor in it, whatever. Or the movie flops and it doesn't. But like if this movie does well, that presumably could tie him to the Tron franchise even longer. I don't know.
Well, according to this, he hasn't been officially let go from Master of the Universe either.
Well, I don't think this is the thing. I don't think he would go past this if the film is a huge success, purely based on the fact that if Disney make money off it, they can cut him out, but there's no way he can be cut out of this film.
I feel like his track record has been really bad lately. I don't know if he even has like any sort of like.
No, he's made a lot
of office poll.
Weird. I mean, like obviously Morbius, man, like it all kind of came to a head there. And I guess this is just what came out of the head. Yeah, really gross descriptions of his, you know, incidents with these people over the years. And like, of course, in this, his whole cult, you guys seen that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bizarre. You know, except whenever they post about it on social media, they say, "Oh, we're in a cult." Ha ha ha. So they're in on the joke, right? Right?
Yeah.
No, it's a cult.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think they could like recast him and just reshoot or CGI him out of there, and because he's an exec producer, and like Eric said, until he's convicted of something, there'll always be that level of plausible deniability. So yeah, it's a real sad situation for that film, especially as Cillian Murphy's sitting right there. Easily replace him with Cillian Murphy, who was sort of teased as the next villain in the last film.
So, you know, this is kind of what tanked the that Flash movie was Ezra Miller's controversy coming into that movie. So
yeah, except Warner Brothers cringingly tried to do a couple of months of like, oh no, Ezra Miller's cool. Yeah, it didn't really work, but I don't think they're going to try with this Disney.
I don't know what they will do with the He-Man film. I mean, that seems I've not got much interest in that.
I mean, he's Skeletor, so hopefully most of it is just like him covered up by a giant skull. I mean, that's
I guess it is kind of naive to think that. Like for a moment, I was like, well, wait, if he's just wearing a helmet, he's literally a program called Ares, right? Like, so he's going to be in the Tron stuff all the time. I guess he could just wear a helmet a lot, or you know, just cover his face with like Tom Hiddleston or something. That's kind of silly. They're not going to do that. It's really frustrating.
I mean, at least he's playing a villain in both the movies, so I mean, we can cheer against him.
I think maybe he saw the writing on the wall. He's like, well, maybe this will help. I don't know. I'm not going to try and get into Jared Leto's fucking brain, but he, let's see. The string of movies since like basically 2012, 2014 has been bizarre. So he had Dallas Buyers Club, which he was nominated or won.
Yeah.
let's see, an Oscar for. And then he was in apparently some movie, Ridley Scott's House of Gucci.
That was actually a good movie, though, in a weird way.
With Lady Gaga. And this is a quote from him. I was snorting lines of Arabati. I don't know what that word is. Sauce. And then for Blade Runner 2049, Denis Villeneuve says, oh, he was walking with an assistant very slowly. It was like seeing Jesus walking into a temple. Everybody became super silent, and there was kind of a sacred moment. And I think he might have misread that moment. I think people were just like, what the fuck is he doing? You know, just, and then of course there's the Suicide Squad stuff that's infamous at this point. He's just really fucking try hard.
Yeah.
He always kind of has been, I think. Like, he's been a decent enough actor. He's, you know, good looking guy, right? Like, I liked his personality whenever I would see him speaking and stuff years ago. I mean,
made some
like,
good music over the years. I mean,
the first 2 albums, great. After that, it's almost as bad as the rapes. No, I'm sorry, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not fucking funny, but it's funny. No, yeah, he didn't need to go so hard with all this shit. I think, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's some kind of weird insecurity or something, but like, he would have just been fine if he just, I don't know, relaxed a bit.
Yeah.
But
I've always found it to be so weird that I just never. I would probably believe if somebody told me he was a real vampire. I'd probably be like, yeah, that tracks. Yeah, he's really. He drinks blood.
He's a real living vampire
Yeah.
who you know, got it from a disease and trying to.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would believe pretty much anything about him, to be honest, at this point.
Here's just a personal gripe of mine, that this is not, you know, anything more than the actual people he directly has harmed or anything, but like the fact that he does disabled tourism for preparing kind of pisses me off, and it's gross. Like, oh, I'm gonna wear contacts that basically I can't hardly see, and I'm gonna have people walk me around. Or whenever he did Morbius, of all fucking movies, he actually went around to, like, you know, scientists and doctors who, you know, specialize in blood disorders and stuff like that, and like asked a bunch of questions. And I have to imagine some of those doctors are just like, "Are you fucking kidding me, dude?"
Right? Yeah, it's a movie, bro. Like,
yeah, unfortunately, he didn't decide to go method with Skeletor and have all his skin peeled off. But,
damn, maybe he could. Hey, redemption. Therein lies redemption, Jared Leto.
I mean, all of these incidents that keep cropping up, studios are going to start putting in clauses in their contracts, good behavior clauses again, purity clauses like they used to when it was about, if you're gay, you have to hide it. Now it's going to be, if you sexually assault anybody, you're going to be fired. So
right, yeah. You know, I mean, the reality is, I think Kevin Spacey is an interesting example of someone who's trying to sort of reclaim their careers.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's working or not. I know that he's done a few like statements and things or whatever, but I mean, nobody's going to forget what he did. It doesn't matter if you try to move beyond it. Like, nobody's going to forget that.
Such a weird case as well, because he actually hasn't been convicted of anything. So
Right.
It's all quote unquote allegations.
And a lot of it was a very long time ago, apparently.
But
So like
his
stuff
way,
with,
his way of dealing with it has been the worst possible way you can deal with it, by just being really creepy.
the villain that he was playing on a TV show when it all came out. That's how, like, you remember that fucking that whatever it was he put out after.
Yeah, it was like a Christmas video. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like cutting something in the kitchen. He's like, I'm the character from the show that I got kicked off of because you know, touched boys or whatever. And it's like, what are you doing, Kevin Spacey? And it, only thing I can get from it is just, is this how much, when you become like famous and so beloved and respected and stuff, that like that's how desperate you are to get that back if you lose it? That like you don't even realize how awful you come off. I don't know. I really don't know. So as far as this goes, disabled tourism, I mean, that's just what I called it. But like treating having a disability as being like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to pretend to do that for, you know, for a day. I'm going to try to walk a mile in your shoes, buddy, so that I can play this thing in the movie or whatever. And it's like, one, you could just hire a blind person to play a blind person. That's the thing.
By the way, I know we moved on from it a little bit, but I just want to put this out there. This is breaking news. Federal judge rules that Trump administration cannot continue to detain Palestinian activist Mohammed Khalil. So that was somebody that had been detained for like 2 months now because they said something on campus.
Yeah.
Well, good. Hopefully they abide by what they said. They can't hold him anymore. Is that right?
No, they can't detain him, and this is going to set the standard for any sort of like free speech suppression. So detaining free speech, people on saying things on campus who are using free speech, they can't do that. So that's, I mean, we'll see if they listen, because it took them 2 months to get the people back from fucking the gulag, so from El Salvador. So we'll see what happens.
I'll follow up on this here thing. I started talking about it earlier, but I'm going to actually get to the reveal now. So there was this that I showed. This map.
Yeah.
Right? Now, let me see. On that day of Trump's military parade, where he wants to, by the way, it's going to cost $40 million. At least that's the estimate now. It'll probably be more, to drive tanks through the streets of DC. They don't even know if the streets are fucking, can support that.
The streets are going to get destroyed, by the way. They're going to see like cracked concrete. So,
but there's this 2,000 plus demonstrations planned. I haven't looked since this morning. There's probably 2,500 more by now. And you just go to them. And thing is, none of them are in DC, which is interesting. At first I was like, really? But their justification for that is
is it because they don't want to actually be in DC? Is that why?
Well, there's two reasons. They don't want to give him the reason that he's looking for.
Right.
He's wanting some televised incident that can just
at his actual military parade. Yeah.
Something like, him getting a piece of glass in his ear. I mean, getting shot at.
Yeah.
But then, but the other reason is just because they want to show that real power doesn't just exist with one guy in Washington, D.C. Real power should be recognized as people all across the country. So
it's kind of crazy that all this is happening during Pride Month as well. I just want to point that out.
True.
Like, I actually believe that a lot of what is happening in California is he's trying to actually set a standard to suppress Pride events across the country. I think that's part of the reason why he wants to do it as well. So,
yeah, Elon. Hey, Doge, found some waste.
Oh, there's some more as well. Apparently, deploying the National Guard is costing 134 million.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is that they said the National Guard is primarily used for like border security, because that's what they are trained in, really. And they pulled a lot of people away from the border to be performative, like National Guard members in California. And it's like, you really, like, you took them away from the thing that they were actually doing to come and stand here and do nothing.
And of course, they're fucking, that's the exact kind of thing that these open borders idiots, there were never open borders. They should, if they had any kind of consistency, be like, wait, why are you doing that? What about the borders? But it never really was about the borders. It's all just about a talking point they can hold on to eke out a perceived win at any given time. Yeah. So go to nokings.org. I would suggest, if you can, if you're able, at least go and check it out. You don't even have to like be in the middle of shit. Just go be there, man. Be one of the number that's we need everybody that we can. I'm going to kind of feel out how it's going to be here in Portland or whatever. And I might actually take maybe the older kids. I don't know. See if it's going to be all like violent-y, no, but
I mean, the other thing is that this open border thing ignores the fact that the United States is obligated to listen to all asylum seekers legally. Like, it's part of our country. Like, it's the way our government functions. And the reason why so many people were still here, quote unquote, illegally, is we don't have enough judges to hear all of the cases of people that are seeking asylum. So the way to fix that would be to hire more judges to speed that process up, not go around and arrest people who are waiting for their hearings.
Yeah, but you have to remember that, and this is true for both sides, in all countries, they don't want to deal with immigration because they can always use it as a wedge issue to get the current administration out of power. And that's the only reason.
I mean, that's how Trump got elected.
Yeah.
There was a bipartisan bill that was set to fix a lot of these issues, and he basically bullied all of the people that are loyal to him in Congress and said, hey, don't vote for that thing, even though it does everything that we need it to do, so I can get elected. I mean, this was admitted. They admitted to this. So
And by the way, if anybody's worried about this being like some kind of Antifa fight or something, they literally specifically state here that they are
non-violent.
Non-violent.
Yeah. So literally, they're stating on the cover page, like, we're not doing this to fight people. You know what I mean? Like to physically.
Funny
fight
thing,
people.
Thunderduck, who just got fucked off the timeline. You're right. No country has to accept foreigners, and no YouTube channel has to accept random fucking commenters. So.
I mean, maybe you should like read how our government works. Legally, we are bound to allow asylum seekers a process to enter the country. Legally, it was only suspended recently because of COVID. Otherwise, anyone that comes through our system legally seeking asylum has to be heard, and they can either accept it or reject it. That's the way that process works.
So it's a weird connection, I guess, but like somebody under a video the other day in comments was like, "Oh, you called Gary or whatever grifter, but I can tell. How do you know he doesn't believe what he says? He's not a grifter." And it's like I've seen that before, where some people seem to think that just if you believe what you're saying is true, you're not a grifter.
Right.
And I don't know where that you literally can look up the definition. There's not one that says that.
So if you want proof that Gary's a grifter, look at his original content, where he specifically stated that he wouldn't and doesn't make the kind of content he is now making.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that, like, if you think about the claims of open borders and just like, the illegals flooding in and all this stuff, and it's like, yes, there has been increased immigration, and asylum seeking and stuff like that. There's a lot of causes for that do not get addressed whatsoever, doing it the way that the Trump administration does. That doesn't address the climate refugee problem that's going to only keep getting worse. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah,
this is the same thing. It's the grift, all of it. They give you a thing that maybe there's some truth to this thing that's happening. They blow it way out of proportion. And they say, look at, all the movies are woke, or the open borders, or whatever. They're coming in raping people. They're they're turning all the men into women in the movies. It's all the same shit, man. And it works on the same fucking mushy, addled brains, in whatever context you're talking about.
I want to point out that the issue we're in right now, when it comes to like free speech and stuff like that, is once they have overstepped the line, then nothing they've said about anyone else makes me believe that they're being honest. So like if one or two people are arrested and held violating their free speech and freedom of expression, then I'm going to question every single case that they do moving forward. That's the way that works. So even if there was some legitimate violation that happened, I need to see due process and I need to see the facts about that. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume that they're making up stuff. That's just the way it works. America's the greatest, but not for you. Stay. Look, I'm actually shocked that we're going to move forward with any sort of international sports events like the Olympics or soccer, football.
If other countries like European countries allow us to play, take part in that, it's only because of the money that we bring to it.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, hosting anything. I wouldn't want to come. If I was from another country, I wouldn't come here right now. We're having people getting stopped at the airport because they have too many articles of clothing. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Do you remember during the first administration, fucking talk about Stephen Miller? The first time I think a lot of people became aware of this fucking vampire-ish ghoul was when he was trying to shut down what was written on the Statue of Liberty's plaque or whatever. They're like, that was actually a gift from the French, and that was not, because it's not literally in the text that bring us you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor.
Right.
It was just on a thing that the French gave us, and he's like shitting on it, essentially saying you can't go based on that. Is a weird look back then.
But now they say that the Statue of Liberty is proof that we take gifts from foreign countries. So I mean, like,
did you say?
I guess sometimes what they do works, and sometimes it's not important.
Did you say Statue of Liberty, or did you say jet? What'd you say?
The Statue of Liberty.
Oh, I was joking because he's getting the jet.
Yeah.
Do they really? What? The president didn't say that, right? Like, who said that?
No, it's a bit of a meme, but
it's always like so performative from them because he'll say, "Oh, well, what they said doesn't apply to us." But when we need it to defend some of the corruption we're doing, we will go against our own beliefs. That's just the whole. It's ignore what's happening in this hand and watch what's happening in this hand administration. That's literally what it is.
And the insecurity that it displays to anybody that is paying attention beyond their immediate impulse reactions, to say that you can't have foreigners in the country, we shouldn't allow foreigners in the country, or whatever, that's somehow going to degrade the greatness of this country that you hold so high on a pedestal. That kind of just says you're really terrified that your country's not that great.
I mean, if like the reality is that a lot of these people here that are working for American wages to do the shit work that Americans don't want to do are paying into our system and not getting anything out of it. So they're putting billions of dollars into our economy, into our social safety nets, and they're taking nothing from that. So that's why they have to make it seem like Medicaid and all of these other systems are benefiting illegals when no one here illegally can actually get Medicaid or Medicare. So they're feeding money into a system that they're never going to benefit from until they actually become U.S. citizens.
Well, I mean, they let Stephen Miller in from Transylvania, so
that's true. I think his uncle or somebody went on TV and said it's hard to believe that he's saying all of this, considering that the only reason he's even in the United States is because his family came here like a generation ago. It's crazy.
This is a good point and also obvious, but also we're like layers above that now. Like we can't even get to that fundamental truth because we're having to deal with, the shit the way it is. But like this country is founded on white supremacy. Period.
I actually wish that we could just get over these fake lines in the sand about who owns what. It's so annoying. Like we all live on this world.
Yep.
People that are born, like for example, my family came from the Scott. I would say it was Scott Irish, I think is the actual term.
That's what I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Too. So where would I go? Like where would I be sent to?
Right,
you know what I mean? Like
in Ireland, right?
What is that?
You'd build a house right on the border of Scotland.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, it's just all of these lines are imaginary and they only matter to rich people and people in power. Otherwise, they don't matter. Like, no one actually benefits from this other than the people who are making the decisions at the top. That's the problem. We can actually help make conditions better in some of the countries where people are coming here seeking asylum from, but we have chose not to do that. We have chose to hoard all of that wealth in our country with a bunch of millionaires and billionaires who don't want to actually do anything. So the situation we are dealing with right now with people wanting to come to our country is a self-fulfilled prophecy. We have done this to ourselves. That's the issue. Because we're totally okay with third world stuff happening as long as we don't have to actually do anything to fix it.
True facts. I mean,
that's the reality of it. So
it's
I do have to get out of here though because
I gotta get out of here as well. But Ryan, what do you have to? You want anything you want to promote or talk about before we get off of here, man?
No, not that I can think of. Just regular channel stuff. If you're interested, take a look at my channel and subscribe
kick-ass
if you like
Superman
it.
shirts.
Yeah.
I've got a Critical Drinker video coming out tomorrow, which by the way, my channel, you guys, I have to give a shout out though. Like my numbers are going through the roof right now. And
that's because your content is brilliant.
Well,
you hit after hit.
Well, thank you.
Man. If I can say this, I had this thought the other day watching one of your videos, dude. Like you have hit a point that I aspired to when I first started, where I want to be able to just see a fucking dumb take and just fire up the camera and fucking destroy that shit. And I never got to that point because I was always kind of torn about what kind of content I wanted to do. And just like, I think maybe because I just don't have the riz that you have. But like you fucking, you're killing it. You're killing it. Like is, there's Pillar of Garbage and Birdman. They do their specific type of thing very fucking well. And then you got what you do just completely cornered and held down. And it's awesome.
Well, I appreciate it. Like, I just have to give a shout out because it's so funny. About a month ago, I had just over 3,000 subscribers, and now I have 4,150 something last time I checked. So in 1 month's time, I've already gone up over 1,000 subscribers. And the funny thing is, there was a guy in the comment section recently who said, well, you know, nobody wants to see your content, blah, blah, blah. It can tell by your numbers. And I'm like, you might want to check, because like 3 weeks ago, I was about 1,000 subscribers less than what I am now. And all of my numbers are going up. Everything looks good on my channel. I have no complaints whatsoever. And I mean, like legitimately pushing out as much content as I can. There's some days where I want to do more than one video. And I just have to thank everybody who subscribed and supported the channel, because like you guys here right now, not only the Shillcast guys and everybody part of this community, but just I feel really empowered right now on my channel. I'm feeling a lot of really positive responses to what I'm doing. I'm actually seeing in the comments now, people are actually pushing back against the negative stuff that's in my comment section, which is incredible.
For a long time, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, man, I hate to be Eric's. Like, I wouldn't want to go into your comment section because it would piss me off. And I've seen that shift as well. Great.
Your last video about Pride Month being ignored by the Cheds is brilliant, because not only does it highlight that specific aspect, but it also highlights that all they do is go after the stuff that's in the news, because they're lazy and they're untalented. They couldn't seek out this information for themselves. So if somebody else wasn't covering it, they wouldn't know what to do with it.
And they don't. There's no articles about it. Like I looked around, I'm like, there's nobody, like other than Vera Dark and Michael Knowles were the only two channels that I saw that made any videos about Pride whatsoever. And neither one of them had any substance to them. They were just garbage videos. But yeah, go ahead.
And think about it. They missed Lilo and Stitch, which has got loads of woke stuff in it by their standards. They missed Sinners. They missed Minecraft. Or they barely hit Minecraft.
Right.
They certainly didn't do any damage to it. They're missing all of these things, which by their own definitions, they should be covering, and they're just not.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked when I looked at like Heel versus Babyface channel, Nerdrotics channel, Geeks and Gamers channel, and I saw no rainbow flags in the last month in any of their content. And
bearing in mind that you drew attention to Heel versus Babyface covering the Lego Pride set from what, 10 years ago now?
Why do you think this is though?
Because their only issue was like the visual aspect of it. So like if a company changes their logo to a rainbow, they could make 20 videos about that. But once it comes down to like following grassroots demonstrations and movements, they're not going to dig that deep because they don't have the intellectual capacity to understand the community enough to even dive into that. Like, for example, in my area, we lost a ton of corporate funding, but what happened is a lot of queer businesses picked up that slack and pumped money back into these festivals and things like that. So they don't want to cover that because that's a positive thing. Corporations pulling out of Pride has not actually killed Pride. If anything, it's incentivized or Pride to even be bigger because people in the community are actually putting in, they're going in and they're doing things for free because they just want to make sure these events happen. They're getting together, they're banding together with like different artists and musicians in the area to make things happen. We're seeing a lot more of that in the local communities. And actually it's a breath of fresh air because now we're not beholden by making sure we don't offend Target or we don't offend Walmart or whatever company is pumping money into a local Pride.
I mean, that's the thing that I don't understand is that Pride did not become did not gain its power once it, like when it merged with, you know, corporate America or whatever. It gained its power in grassroots fucking organic, you know, for decades prior. And now you're just putting it back in a position to do that again.
Yeah.
So I think the same is true for all aspects of what they target. If studios were casting and hiring the same people to make the same content, but weren't promoting it and using the diversity as a marketing tool, they wouldn't cover it. They wouldn't know how to cover it.
Well, that's the thing is I think that what we're seeing is they never cared about the actual Pride or any of this stuff. They didn't care about drag queens. They didn't care about trans people. They didn't care about any about it. What they cared about was the actual performative stuff that companies were doing, which is the capitalistic nature of it, which is nothing. That doesn't mean none of that means anything. It never meant anything to us, the gay community. It never meant anything to the queer community. It always was something that we just accepted because they pander. Like they pander in any holiday. They pander during Christmas. They pander during Valentine's Day. When Pride Month is happening, they pander towards the gay community. It's a product of capitalism. We always were aware of that. But these guys were saying that we're such a threat to society. Well, now we have no restrictions. Now we're not beholden to any huge billionaire company. We're doing everything ourselves. You would think they would cover that, except they realize they can't There's no angle for that. They can't affect that. They can't stop a local community from doing Pride because there is nothing to boycott. There's nothing to come after.
You mentioned that in Ironheart, is there a drag queen cast in that?
Shea Coulee.
Not been in any of the promotional
No.
material, so they haven't covered it.
Right.
They've forgotten about it because it's not being promoted.
I think most of them have. I haven't brought it up, but I think most of them have. There is a drag queen in the show, and she's playing a very big supporting character. We don't know who the character is, but we know she's playing a big supporting character according to her. So we know that's coming out. So they will go in on that. But the thing is, they're not proactively doing it because Disney is being very like they're going, hey, we're going to promote the show, but we're not going to promote that yet. We're going to wait for that to happen. I would love it. It would be great, honestly, if she ends up being like Mephisto or something like that. That would be fucking incredible.
It would make so much sense as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love it. I think the whole gay community would rally behind that. So, well, Nezuko, that is how I pronounce my name. So, Eric. So, there we go. But yeah, so, and I'm going to be covering that when that happens as well. That's going to be a big thing on my channel. And honestly, I think that they are putting the show out when they are so close to all of the Pride events and stuff because that character is going to be played by a drag queen. So that's kind of interesting. Actually, Target is, I want to cover this really quickly before I go. I looked into it. Target is actually promoting Father's Day and 4th of July already and skipping over like all of the Pride stuff. They're digging their hole. I don't think Target's, what they don't understand is they spent so many years being involved in activism. You don't walk away from that and expect your customers to continue to buy stuff from you. They are literally spiraling. But this is another thing I mentioned in my video that we were just talking about is none of the chuds are talking about Target because Target is losing money. This goes against their narrative. Target has stopped promoting queer people. It's stopped promoting people of color. And because of that, they are actively losing money, but they won't talk about that because that's not part of their story. Their story has to be get woke, go broke. So since Target is a prime example of how a boycott actually affects a business, they're not going to talk about it. Yeah, Morgan. Target has lost $1.5 billion this year because of the boycotts. Yeah, that's how a boycott works. That's what a real boycott looks like.
So I think it's important to note as well that when you boycott, you have to boycott a company and not a product.
Yes.
Boycotting a product doesn't work.
And boycotting Bud Light without boycotting the store that sells Bud Light doesn't make any sense.
Not only that, but with Bud Light, there's also alternatives to Bud Light. I was thinking about the Harry Potter game. It's not like you've got other Harry Potter games to choose from.
Yeah.
So that boycott was never going to work.
Right.
But you can boycott a supermarket because there are others.
Mm. The Target boycott is genius because of the fact that Target represented the sort of like progressive version of like all these other large retailers in the United States, like Walmart and places like that, Kroger, you know. So you're right. There were plenty of other options for people to use. And a lot of people that have walked away from Target say they don't care. They're just buying from other places now. They don't care. And we just found out, God, I can't believe I just thought about this. One of the, I can't remember who she is. One of the top women in Walmart just donated to the No King's Day organization. So Walmart switching allegiances, that I didn't have that in my bingo card for 2025.
Wow.
So let me double check. I just want to double check that before I go. Oh, Walmart donates to No King's Day. Yeah, the Walmart heiress Christy Walton paid for a full-page color advertisement in the New York Times promoting No King's Day. They're saying we're talking like, you know, at least like a couple $1 million for that.
That's crazy. 1.5 billion.
Yeah.
Target is begging people.
But I got to get out of here. I got to go to work, and it's literally like 2 minutes I have to head out the door. So,
yeah, man. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it.
Always a good time.
Glad I didn't have to do it by myself. Have a good night at work, man.
It's always more fun when there's other people involved.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. It's always a lot of fun. See everybody later. I'm out of here.
Later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had commented on that video of Birdman's, and I was like, "Hey, man, you're gonna get fucking murder charges for these videos." I said, "Look at Az. He's a bloated corpse." And I was like, "Oh no, sorry, he's still alive. He's just how he looks." Sorry. Look, I'm not above going after the guy like that. I'm sorry. You fuck him. It's a funny joke. All right. Yeah, we're gonna get the fuck out of here, man. I think you will see me on Friday, I believe. I'm gonna try and make sure that I have like a decent show plan that's not just like let's react to whatever the fascists are doing, though it's gonna be part of it, we'll be honest. And yeah, with that in mind, oh yeah, check this out. Go to nokings.org. Just go look at it. Give it a read. You know, what are you doing on Saturday the 14th? Nothing? Check it out. What else? Jared Leto sucks. And that's about it. Gotta go see my kid matriculating today. Bye, fam. I got some music. I'm gonna play some music on the way out the door here. Peace.
for existing on the wrong side of an imaginary line. Between two worlds, belligerent and overtried, I beseech you to believe in more than the light reflecting off of these shells we occupy. Shells we occupy.